we're actually going live and all the audio is working. That's pretty impressive. Helps when you plug things into the right ports. Of course, it also helps to check that you plug them into the right ports, which I've done today and did not do on Friday. This happens. The joys of Mondays. We're going to have a good show today. I feel it. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It is Monday. I'm in the studio doing that thing that I do. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and my name is Sean Shapiro. Now, people wonder why. Why am I online doing what I do? Well, I'm a police officer. I specifically work for Traffic Services unit of the Toronto Police. We're the citywide traffic unit, and we talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and general police stuff. And why do we do it? Well, we do it because we want to help you out. I mean, I also do it because I enjoy it, but I primarily am here because for the longest time, you couldn't just find the answers to so many questions because of COVID or because of just not having access to officers, standing on street corners that you could go and ask questions about the traffic laws and driving rules and all that jazz. Now, why does this work? It works because you can ask me all those things. I'm a traffic officer. I've been here for a while. I've done a lot of different things, and I've got some knowledge that I'm happy to share. So if you've got questions, we have answers. You can reach us through TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Volley. Notice I skipped the logo that says Twitter, and that's because Twitter doesn't allow us to actually get messages, at least not right now. It used to work many, many moons ago. It will work again. I'm confident of that. But until such time as it is actually working, we will see what's up. And now, you'll see us, but we won't see you. If you want to ask us questions, feel free to drop over onto the magical trafficcop.ca, which is my link tree. And on there, you can find links to all of our other platforms. Come in through YouTube. It is awesome. It works great. If you were with us on what was it, Sunday? Sunday was yesterday. We had an episode of TPS Traffic Jam Post. That's our podcast. And it was a great episode. I was there, at least when I recorded it. And I watched it at home, which is weird being the viewer. I haven't done that in a while. And I was actively chatting with Chase, who said hello, and I said hello back, and that was done. Actually, no, there was Dylan. I think Dylan was there too, who is a big advocate in his school when he goes for lunch. In any case, we were talking about racing and the legal ways of doing it. So Right Track Racing was the guest. If you haven't checked it out, please do. You can get us on, actually, you can go to trafficcop.ca to use the link, and you can come watch it there, or you can get links to go onto Apple Podcast. It's available. And even in our playlist, YouTube has podcasting now. And I don't know if that makes any difference at all. If it's just a playlist that has the podcast title, if it does something different and please let me know. Good morning to Chase and Jacob, both who send happy Mondays to the TikTok Traffic Cop family. We've got folks on the let's see, we've got Tracy coming in with a good morning. Rod to Bo. Hi says, actually, we'll talk about that. What's up? What Hi says. Craig Lehman. Who else? Vinny. We've got underscore. All right. Let me see what's going on. We'll get you. We'll get to all the stuff and things that we want to talk about. It's awesome. I've got help coming to join me shortly. We call it. I don't know what's happened. Normally he's in the chat, but he's not in the chat right now. So when we have help, we'll have some questions from. I'm looking to see if I can see him, but we have lots of things going on in the office, so maybe I'm pulled away. And Stephen Bell wants to know if the law in Toronto is the same as the law in London, Ontario. That's a good question. So we are located in Toronto, Ontario, and the laws for the Highway Traffic Act are actually provincial. So all across Ontario, the Highway Traffic Act laws are the same. When it comes to city bylaws, they're going to be municipal based, and so there may be differences, but the actual Highway Traffic Act is the act for the entire province. So it's a good question, and it's a question I don't think we've ever had. We often get people from different provinces. So a couple of pieces of housekeeping. If you'd be so kind, if you're asking a question in TikTok in particular, please use or put the letter Q at the beginning, identifying it as a question, and then we'll be able to flag it, because very often we have magical folks who are chatting in the chat room, and there's dialogue back and forth, not necessarily for us. So for us to be able to identify it as a question, please stated as a question. And what else? Let me go back in here and just catch up on some chat and stuff. So, Craig Lehman wants me to explain about turning left on a green on staying in the proper lane. Okay, so let's hold it right there. Let's actually let me take this and I'll put it here. Look at this. I'm doing some manual business. Here we go. Can you explain? See, I put it on screen. Now everyone can read it. So the answer to the question or the discussion prompted by the question is if you're making a left, you must turn into the appropriate lane. Otherwise, it's an improper turn. So if you're in the turning lane, you have to turn to the leftmost lane when you complete your turn in safety, of course. Many people will go wide. What they'll do is they will go wide out until the second or third lane, depending on how many there are. That is an improper turn, and you can be charged accordingly. So don't do that. Stay where you're supposed to go. The reason being is every other driver is going to be doing the right thing, hopefully, and that way you all have a place to go safely. And if you cross over and go wide, you're likely going to cause a collision, which is why we charge you under the Highway Traffic Act. So you'll remember for next time. A lot of the laws, if not all of the laws, are there to keep you safe. And if you do the wrong thing, then you're being unsafe. And it just works. So many laws, so many things that people assume or don't realize are actually unlawful. I imagine many people didn't realize you had to go into the appropriate lane. It was just a good thing to do, not a mandatory thing to do. But it is mandatory. We've got folks who are asking about the ban of TikTok on government devices. Just to quickly address that, we're still here. We've not been given any direction to get off of the platform. We aren't using the app. This, what you see here, this widescreen view, is actually being fed the same feed that is going to YouTube and Twitch and LinkedIn. It's actually being handled by a third-party company, and an RTMP feed is going out to TikTok. So we're not actually logged into TikTok, but we are sharing the feed there. So I think it's pretty cool. And in the event that that we are told not to use the app at all, then we can simply comply with that without leaving you guys behind. We'll still be able to maintain that. But we'll see what happens. We have not been given any direction in terms of what we're doing. And so that was Vinny's question. What is this? Will a 24-hour probation get me pulled over more often? I don't know what 24-hour probation. I think you may have asked this before. I vaguely recall seeing a message like this in the not so recent past, but I don't know what we're talking about exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can specify what probation you're referring to. All right. We have a question from Davin. Can you get a ticket if you get stuck in an intersection on a red light in heavy traffic? Actually, you can. There's a number of ways that it can be handled. In the city of Toronto, we have failing to clear a signalized intersection. And I'm sure other jurisdictions have similar charges. You should not enter an intersection unless you have the ability to exit it. And what we see in heavy traffic is people just jump into that intersection because they don't want to let, God forbid, anybody else get in there. And then they don't have anywhere to go. And then you create a absolute cluster when it comes to traffic congestion, and it cascades. It just feeds from there. There's so many reasons why traffic occurs, and if we can have an entire month dedicated to why traffic exists. But everyone has to do their part to ensure that they're not contributing to it. And that means not entering an intersection unless they have somewhere to go. Now, if you're entering an intersection with the intention of turning, you chances are have an exit strategy. There's probably room to go, but you should not enter unless you have somewhere to go. And when you're going directly through an intersection, that's where the bigger problem tends to be. But um, it's gambling. Don't gamble. Don't gamble on traffic, safety and traffic and stuff. All right. Paul Henson says, good morning. Good morning to you. I'm looking. I'm seeing if you got, let me check into our volley space. I see that we have a Q&A question here. Michael says he can't be here today. To put a sad face emoji back there. Do I have a sad face? No, I can't find a sad face. There's a blowing kiss face. That's not appropriate. Okay, there's a frown face. You can't see what I see, but if we have something called Volley, and Volley is it's a website and an app that allow you to send me video, voice, and text. So if if you want to send me a voicemail, you can. And it's nice and private and it's easy to use. So by all means, send me voice. I'll actually play it on the show. All right. Leo wife, my wife says good morning and good morning to you. It's always nice to have family in here. But it means that the kids might be watching too. My kids are home on March break, which brings me to the fact that we have March break. Many people are not doing their regular routine, and that's something that drivers need to be paying attention to. You may have more or less traffic as a result of it, and there'll be potentially more people, more pedestrians out there, and we want to protect all those people. So, things that we're talking about with Operation Road Safe. We've had a time change. That was Sunday. Did you change your clock? I hope you did. I didn't have to do anything. I relied on technology to update automatically, and so far, I think it's accurate because I showed up everywhere on the weekend. I had breakfast with a buddy of mine, and then I got to all my appointments on time. So I'm assuming my clock has been correctly adjusted. But if you have a manual one, like I had to change the microwave. That's the only one I had to change, and I'm happy that it's done now. And I have no more stress in my life. But our stress and our sleep mode has changed. So be aware of the fact that you may be a little more tired, and we tend to see an increase in the number of collisions on the road in the weeks surrounding daylight savings. So I'll be correct. I said savings, and I'm very often told it's saving. Don't call it savings. It's saving, singular. Okay. I won't argue with anybody, but it is something that is a reason uh, to focus on our health, ourselves, making sure you get the rest you need. We need sleep. I don't nearly get enough of it, but it is something that we absolutely need. And when we don't have it, our reaction time is not as good. We don't feel as well. We're less chipper. Yeah. We're not ourselves. And if you're yawning and falling asleep behind the wheel, maybe you shouldn't be driving. That seat is reserved for people who can operate the vehicle safely. And if you're not getting sufficient rest, you maybe should make some better choices. And I mean that with love. I do. Get to bed earlier, do the things you need to do to be a safer driver. Because it's not just about being focused behind the wheel, it's about taking care of yourself in general so that you can be a good driver. It's not one of the, you can't just muscle through things. Yesterday, I was tired and I acknowledged I took a nap. I was unconscious on the couch after I got home because I needed it. But let's talk about what we're doing on the road. Now we've got this Operation Road Safe. It's a safety plan, or at least a safety campaign that's currently running. So we've got people who are looking for the behaviors that make the road unsafe, and we're looking for that all the time. But we're spending extra special care looking for it right now, just because of the increased collisions surrounding daylight savings, and because people are not doing their regular schedule with March break. Okay, let's also talk about Vision Zero enforcement team because I almost missed that cue. But I had it up here. I had to get my Twitter up. I actually opened the new window and said, why did I open a new window? It's to open Twitter so I can look at where everybody is today. Did you know we have a Twitter? Yeah. People still use that app. You can go on and you can choose to follow traffic services. It's a magical thing to do. If you do that, you'll be notified every morning as to where the Vision Zero enforcement team is focused, or at least where they're focusing their efforts. Now, police officers across the city of Toronto are going out and looking for drivers who are breaking the rules, who are actively working to make roads safe from the people who are making the roads unsafe, the people who are breaking the rules. So we're looking for the big four primarily. We have people who speed, people who drive aggressively, people who drive distracted, others who choose to drive impaired. And altogether, they're making our roads less safe. And, well, people deserve to be safe, whether they walk, ride, or drive. And the people who are breaking the rules need to be held accountable. I know it's not popular, at least not amongst the people who break the rules. A lot of people think they should be allowed to speed, drive aggressively, and use their phones and make bad choices. We're here to tell you you're not allowed, and it's not okay. And we have a dedicated group of officers who focus their efforts solely on enforcement. Vision Zero enforcement team. Vision Zero acknowledges, it's a framework that acknowledges that minor collisions are going to happen. And a minor fender bender, it's no big deal. It happens. It's someone still responsible for it, but it happens. We're never going to get rid of all of it. What we want to reduce or eliminate are the number of significantly life-threatening and deadly collisions. Those are unacceptable and totally preventable. So what do? We go and issue tickets. We have people who go out looking for the big four, and they do a great job at it. Where are they today? 32 Division and 43 Division, Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Bendale, Woburn, Woburn, Highland Creek, West Hill, Guildwood. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. And again, deserve to be safe. If it was your neighborhood and you had, your family there, I'm sure you'd want them to be safe too. It always begs the question: when people drive dangerously, they tend to say it's okay. It's reasonable, whatever they're late or whatever the excuse is. But if they were responsible or somebody actually just put the shoe on the other foot, if it was your family that was at risk or injured or killed, would you think that that driver made a reasonable decision, that their choice to get to where they had to go faster, or because they were late, or because they didn't take care of themselves, or because they just didn't care, was that reasonable? No, I don't think anybody would turn around and say yes. But what can you do? Sometimes we can't educate. Sometimes we can't educate through regular forms. We can't just send a tweet. Sometimes TikTok's not enough. Sometimes we have to give a ticket. Sometimes we have to arrest people. All right. Ken has a question, and here it is. Should someone apply to a police service before graduating from Police Foundations course first? Well, that's a tough question. It's a tough question because if you qualify, if you meet the requirements to become a police officer today, well, then you can apply today. If you're hired, obviously it was okay. And if you're not hired, you can continue doing your course. So I'm not going to say you shouldn't apply now. You should. We're looking for good quality applicants every day. We happen to be in a time where we need people to come and apply to the job because there's openings and there's not enough people applying who are qualified. So if you think you can pass the test, take a shot at it. Now there are costs involved, so I don't want to tell you to apply just to fail. If you have to meet the requirements. Now there's a lot going into that, and what I would suggest you do is speak to a recruiter. You can find them at tps.ca/careers. That's where you get all the information about not only becoming a police officer, but becoming a special constable, a parking enforcement officer, civilian roles that we have, lots and lots of job opportunities within the police service. And let me just do that thing that I do. Oh, here, I pressed the wrong button. I want to go to this button. That's the button I'm looking for. Okay. I will share with you, just because we can, I'm going to share with you the careers. Here we go. Get rid of that. I'll even get rid of this. Here we go. All right. Let's have a look at what's going on here. We have jobs available. We have for police constable, parking enforcement officer, and we have civilian roles. And I always think it's interesting to look at the civilian roles. These come and go. These things open, they're posted, and then a week or so later they disappear because they've got a limitation. Like this one is posted November 14th, communications operator. This one was on the 2nd of March. Administrative clerk pool. This is a temporary a job. This is a temp position, and you can become a full-time member afterwards. There's opportunities to become qualified and apply within the service. But when you look at the job posting, it opened on March 2nd. And is there a closing date? There's usually a date when you have to apply by, and if you don't, well, then it goes away, and you miss the opportunity until next time. We have here. Are we taking special constables? Let's see. Does it show? I guess it would be a posting, an opportunity. I don't see the posting there. Oh, actually, maybe we can go back. For those who want questions and answers, my apologies for going down the recruiting rabbit hole, but I'm really curious about this. Looks like there's only those two positions available right now. But you know what? If I clear it, yeah. Keep checking. If you're interested in becoming a member, keep checking. And I will close this off. Wait, I gotta press this. I gotta press that. And now we're good to go. Hey, I'm back. Okay, apply. I would just apply. So with that, let's move back to other questions about stuff and things. All right, smoking cigarettes. I know you can't smoke cigarettes on hospital premises, but if you're parked there, can you smoke in your own car? My understanding is it's talking about the property. I don't think they want you on their property, and if they have a sign saying you shall not smoke on the property, that's still their property. Could it be enforced? They could ask you to leave. You could be trespassed. If it's a work vehicle, could you be charged under the Smoke Free Ontario Act, potentially for smoking in your work vehicle? Because workplace prevents or prohibits this prohibited smoking. But I don't know. I can't give you any advice there. If they tell you not to smoke on the hospital premises, I would go to the sidewalk and not be on their premises. That would be my suggestion. The Pittsburgh man. If I have an advanced turn signal onto a single lane road and someone turns right into the lane from the opposite side while I'm turning, who is at fault for the collision? Well, I love these what ifs. They're always great. If you are turning and you're making the lawful turn, you had to have made sure that you could complete your turn. If they cause a collision because they're changing lanes and they have not completed the lane change, it's likely that they are going to be at fault. But I'm trying to visualize when in my own little storyboarding of this collision that you've described, it depends. They are also responsible for ensuring um, that they are making a safe change. So if they're, it's not illegal to change lanes in a intersection, but it could lead to collision. So it's possible that you could both be charged. It's possible that one of you is charged. It depends on what information we have, and if you have dash cam footage that paints a really clear picture. Generally speaking, turns are bad, but lane changes are bad too. You're at fault until you own that lane. You only own that lane when you're properly within it. So I apologize for the lack of absolute answer. There's no easy answer, I don't think. Can I drive in Canada with an Irish driver's license? Yeah, you said driving license. Uh, so the deal is that you can visit here with a foreign license, and depends on how long you're staying here. And once you become a resident, it changes. So if you were visiting, yes, you can for up to 3 months without an IDP that's issued from Ireland, and then up to a year if you're visiting. But as a visitor, the moment you are a resident, you're taking school here, you are renting a house here, you are now a resident, and you are subject to a 60-day maximum before you have to apply for a local license. And it's an Ontario license, not a Canada-wide license. But so it depends on where you are. If you're in Quebec and you are a student, you don't have to actually apply for a local license. They allow students who consider them temporary, whereas in Ontario, we consider them residents. So it depends. If you go to www.trafficcop.ca, www.trafficcop.ca, you can go to the bottom of the link tree, and I have a number of links. One of them is driving in Canada, and all the information in far better form than what I've just given you will be outlined. It'll explain everything. So that's good to know. But again, 60 days you will have had to have applied to uh, in Ontario. Within 60 days, you have to apply for a local license, at which point you become completely um, once you've applied for one, whatever they give you is what you have. Your foreign license would no longer be accepted. Okay. Here's an interesting question. Can I drive while my license plate is expired because of a pending court case? Uh, if your license plate is expired and you cannot renew it, then no, you cannot. You need to deal with that. And if you cannot, the pending court case, if you owe money on it, you have to pay it. If you have an actual suspended plate, that's much more serious. Could you rent a car and drive somebody else's car? If your license is valid, then yes, but that plate on that vehicle is not authorized to be on the road. Thus, you cannot drive that vehicle. Period. There's no, but I, yeah, there's no excuse for. As soon as I get this dealt with in court in the coming years, it'll be valid again. If it's not valid, you're going to get a $110 ticket and possibly more, because driving, actually, can I pull that up easily? It depends. If you're saying it's expired, that's one thing. If you cannot renew it because it is um, a prohibited, or what is the word I'm looking for? Suspended plate. That's a different situation. And then you really can't. There's a serious, much more. What is it? Prohibited. I'm looking for. Hang on a second. There's a different charge for a suspended plate. And I think I'm using the wrong word. In any case, if I can't find it really quickly, I'm going to skip, and then we'll have to come back to it another time. But there's a. No, 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 no. I can't find it. Oh, wait, maybe I have a different way to permit some plates. No, hang on. I have an idea. Suspended. Can I search that way? No. Canceled permit? No. Yeah, I can't find it. All right. Well, Well, we'll try and find out and deal with it later. You can always DM us, and we'll try and get back to you directly. Later. But in any case, deal with your stuff. Your vehicle is not permitted to operate with suspended plates. Period. All right, covered that. Can you explain tinted window laws? Well, what do you mean? Do you want me to tell you about the one that says you can't obscure the interior of your motor vehicle? We could talk about that. You want me to talk about the fact that there are regulations which would make your vehicle unsafe for the road if you didn't follow? We can talk about that too. So, which one first? Well, let's talk about the one that has numbers associated with it. So, according to the Light Truck and Passenger Vehicle Guide for certification, which your mechanic would use to certify your vehicle, it says that you shall not certify if you have more than 30% light blockage on the windows directly left and right of the driver. That means if it's got dark tint on the front windows, the driver side, the front passenger side, you can't certify. If you, because it's unsafe. Just to clarify why you can't certify. The front windshield, if you have any tint at all on the front windshield, on vehicles that are manufactured 2017 and newer, that isn't a vehicle that cannot be certified. If you have a tint strip on the top of the window, that's tint on the window. It is permitted on a vehicle 2016 and older, but not 2017 and newer. And that's restricted to 3 inches or 75 millimeters from the top of the window down to the PS1 line or that 3-inch limit, whatever happens first. Permitted on older cars, 2017 and newer, not at all. Now, windows in the back seat, in the rear window, that sort of stuff. Uh, you can have tint on those, and they're actually not regulated, not in terms of the safety. Now, that is one thing. If you have tint that is darker than the 30% light blockage, which means 70% of the light has to get through, and a mechanic, when certifying your vehicle, should be using a tint meter. They're required to have one. If it is not used, if you have a vehicle you bought and somehow magically got through the process and put the plates on it, even though it failed, if we see it, we could take your plates, seize them, and then you have to go get certified again. If you had gotten certified with that dark tint, it's possible that you'd get investigated again, and it's possible that you would then cause an investigation to take place to the mechanic, who will then have to explain why he certified here. They certified a vehicle that had illegal tints. Okay. That aside, there's an additional charge. You cannot obscure the interior of a motor vehicle using color or reflective tint, a coating. So if you tint it aftermarket, and regardless of safety, and we can't see you as the driver, we can't see in the driver's compartment, it's illegal. $110 ticket. And that doesn't require a meter. It means that I can't see you. Now, I may be able to articulate why or how dark it is without a meter, and that's all I need to do. So if I can't see or make out who the driver is and I pull you over, that's sufficient for that charge. I may not pull your plates if I can't articulate why it's so dark that it's unsafe, but I can justify that. I can articulate that because that's something I'm interested in. I follow along. Let's see here. Sean Chen, long time no talk. Hi. What is this? Oh, uh, my wife, Leah wife, says if you wanted to become an admin, the best way is to go temp and then apply for full time when you're in. She may have known a few people who's done that. Okay, Chase has a volley.
If you end up charged with stunt driving or speeding, for example, and you choose to fight it, it gets dropped in court. In the future, when you get pulled over, is there any kind of evidence on your driving record or like notes the police officer would have about this charge, or would it show up like you have a clean record?
Fantastic question. And the deal is that we see all of our cases. So if I have a charge, regardless of whether or not you were convicted, we'll see our police notes. We'll see any suspension related to the stunt driving in your history, because those don't go away regardless of what the outcome in court is. But you won't have a conviction for the charge. So, you know, the insurance companies aren't stupid. They will see the suspension, but they will not see a charge, and they'll see that you, for whatever reason, got out of the court conviction. Just because someone is not convicted does not at all mean that they are innocent. There is a big difference. People say, I beat the charge, I was innocent. No, you were guilty, and you beat the charge because of a administrative technicality. The officer didn't show up because they were sick. So many different reasons that people are often not convicted. And sometimes it's because of an error on some part, but it doesn't exonerate you. It doesn't make you innocent, and like the act of speeding or whatever it was never happened. I won't say that it's impossible for someone to have recorded the incorrect speed. I'm sure there's a possibility. It's just unlikely, being that I've taken the training and everyone else who's taken the training is also qualified to use the equipment that would generally constitute stunt driving, or the charge of stunt driving for doing 40 or 50 over. But there's so many other ways to get stunt driving charges. Making the jackrabbit start left before oncoming traffic at an intersection, from a red to a green. Then we have driving with people in the trunk, driving when not be in this seated in the driver position, which could be ghosting, where you walk beside the car that's in drive, or sitting in a seat other than the driver's seat, because you're doing something really, really silly. But there's so many other ways. Losing drifting, stunt driving. So, how does one beat a charge like that? Playing games. What is this one? What did I just put up on screen and then take off the screen? Give me the 411 says, why is parking enforcement not active during morning rush in downtown Toronto? I would imagine that they are. I don't have an answer for you, and I don't have an Aaron standing by to answer that question. My understanding is that they are actively enforcing, even if you're not seeing them. They're invisible during certain hours. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. If Aaron walks in, we will ask it, and I will ask about morning rush. I'd like to know. Tell me more. Where is this morning rush that they are not? Because it's possible that they're focused on certain streets and not others. I can't imagine them being on every street all the time. I don't know how that works, but I am not a parking person, so I have no idea how to answer that question. Can I drive a friend's car? He got a new car, but I don't have insurance. So if you don't live with your friend, and you're borrowing their car, if you're a licensed driver, legally you're a licensed driver. If you're licensed, you're licensed. And if the vehicle is licensed in Ontario, then the vehicle is licensed, and a licensed driver can drive a licensed vehicle, and that's copacetic. In the event that you live with that person, the insurance company, or if you happen to meet it's possible that the insurance says the real stuff is specifically not allowed to drive this car. They can drive other cars, but this insurance policy precludes the real stuff from operating the car. Then you wouldn't be able to, because you wouldn't be covered under the insurance. From a policing perspective, you wouldn't be prohibited, but from the insurance perspective, they would deny a claim if you were caught. So, yes. Here's a question. I wonder if you can ever bring OPP Officer Carey in studio with us. Just, two button presses to get the full message, but that is a good question. Carrie and I have talked about it many times. There is a plan. We just haven't made it happen yet. And, if we can get our schedules to sync, and we're talking about even doing it this week, um, we'll let you know, because he'll be here. You'll see him when you see him, but you won't until you do, because if he's not here, he can't be on camera. But we do want to we do want to connect on screen. Absolutely. What is this? How much time can you get for driving without a license and insurance and registration? How much time? Do you mean jail time? So this is an interesting question, Corbin Turner. The answer is that, in relation to driving without insurance, you can be charged up to 6 months. Sorry, you can be sentenced to up to 6 months in jail. That's in addition to a $5,000 to $25,000 fine for your first conviction, and subsequent convictions would be, higher ranges. But at very least, on the first conviction, 5 to 25,000 and up to 6 months in jail. In terms of driving without a license, there's no jail time that I'm aware of. It's a fine, and that's it. Not that anyone should do it, but it is lesser than the no insurance. What am I looking for here? Oh, it's a different act altogether. Hang on. Oh, no, we talked about that. So what am I talking about? No license. Okay. Let's have a look. I haven't looked at this recently. It's a $325 fine, and I don't see. I have to read further into that to see if they can enforce with anything else. And in terms of the no registration, not surrendering the registration is a $110 fine. All right. And Chase is jumping up and down in caps to say that he wants Carrie to join the show. He's funny. He totally needs to join the show. But he's out there in his fancy truck. He could actually join us remotely. He could do that. All right. Miles asks, 5 years with an M2 and expired during COVID. Wasn't able to complete my M. Do I have to restart my M1 again? Hmm. I don't. How long since? So you should be okay to renew. Well, you had an M2, so you might have to take your M2 again because to get you shouldn't have to start your M1. You might be able to just take your M2 test again. You might even be able to take your. No, I think you have to have your. You need to contact drivetest.ca. That's the best thing. I don't want to speculate because I was about to speculate. That's dangerous, but I know if you hadn't waited until you expired, you'd be able to take your M2 again and extend it for another 5 years. I think that's how long your M2 is good for. And if that's the case, then you'd be okay, and you just take your M when you had to. Now, uh, worst case scenario is you might have to take your M1, but um, you might be able to skip the line in terms of waiting 30 days before taking your M2. Best thing to do again is talk to the folks at Drive Test. Call the ministry, call the Service Ontario, but Drive Test would have the answer, I believe. Akela Draconis was late to the party. Greetings and salutations from the Traffic Management Center. How is it going with you? Um, I don't know why. I maybe because Akela reminds me of a particular film, and now I want. I'm really excited about going to see a movie in the not too distant future. Shazam! Is anyone going to watch Shazam? I want to see Shazam. And I a while back I watched the original Shazam. Well, I planned to, but it never worked out. We had the safety patroller program in Toronto. We had like 1,600 kids. I think it was 1,600 that came from across the GTA or the Toronto city of Toronto to come in and come to an appreciation event where we had the entire cinema playing Shazam. Even had it in French, and I never got to watch it on that day because I was too busy trying to make everything go off without a hitch. But in any case, I really enjoyed that movie, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Just saying, just happened to Kayla translated into Shazam. Okay, James Sollenbach. Okay, here we go. Under 21 and G license with small amount of alcohol, is that DUI or something else? So if you have anything over zero, you'd get a suspension because you have a condition to have zero alcohol in your blood when you are under the age of 22. So you cannot consume alcohol and drive as a novice driver unless you are 22 and over. The wording stinks. The wording says under over 21. Over 21 gives people this misconception that you can consume alcohol at 21 because I think people just assume it's 21 and over. It's not. It is over 21, which means 22 and over. Words matter. Just saying. And I think I have to record because now it really bugs me, this whole thing. So we're going to do 22 and over video on TikTok and all the other platforms this morning because I need to make sure that that is clarified for everybody. So not a DUI, but it is a suspension. You would be charged for violating a condition. And there's consequences for that. You don't want to do that. Richard would also like to see, there's a lot of voting for Carrie. A lot of people want Carrie on the show. Oh, Akela saw Ant-Man last night. Okay. I don't know if the Ant-Man caused the confusion, but I want to see that too. I just haven't had time. I don't have a lot of time for stuff and things. I come to work, I go home, and then I'm a family guy. Not family guy from the show. That would just be weird, but still. Okay. Let's have a look at what's going on. I have a couple questions on Instagram. Okay. Here is a question about securing a load. Lumber tied to roof. Is it officer's opinion only on unsafe load? So, an officer making an observation as to whether or not a load is properly secured is going to be an officer's opinion. But one of the biggest reasons we look at it and evaluate whether or not it was safe or unsafe is going to be the method of attachment, the means of attachment. Is it bungee cords? Is it twine? Is it rated straps? Are they secure? Can they move? If they extend beyond a certain point, are they flagged, tagged, or otherwise? So it really depends on what we see. But yeah, an officer is going to make a determination based on what they see. They write a ticket. That ticket is an allegation. It's saying that it's unsafe. If you can prove otherwise in court, you won't be convicted. But generally speaking, we're pretty good on coming up and articulating what we're seeing, and what we're seeing doesn't meet the grade. It's a problem. Okay. Um, Crystal says, "Good morning. How was your ride along? What ride along were we talking about? I didn't do a ride along." Okay. What is this? Crystal says, "If I voted, I would like to see Sean where I live." What are we talking about exactly? Happy to go places. You don't live in the city. You're quite a ways away. But yeah, we should do the Sean World Tour. Take traffic services and safety to everyone's neighborhood. I'd love that. I don't think it'll happen, but it's nice. Okay. A question from Stephen. I drive my mother-in-law's van. What is this? Can I her new license plate, or does she have to get the new one from Service Ontario? I drive my mother-in-law van. Can I her new license? So you want to know if you can go to the ministry on her behalf and get a new license plate, or does she have to go? You're not the registered owner. I don't think you can do very much of anything. If you have power of attorney, you might be able to. If you're added to the, you know what? This is a call for Service Ontario. And we have a number of folks from Service Ontario who watch, and if they're watching, please throw in and let us know. I assume that the registered owner has to be, but it's outside of my area of expertise. I just saw Master Technician saying hello from Peterborough. What's going on? Kenny Fu wants to know about banned on TikTok. There is a ban on the use of the app for many people. We've not received any direction on that, but I can tell you that we're not using the app. This is actually being streamed, an RTMP stream coming out. The identical content that is going to YouTube and all the other platforms is also going to TikTok. So we're not actually using the app. So we're not violating anything, regardless of the fact that we have not received any direction. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I got lots of conversation going there. Does a BC? Oh, interesting. That's a good question too. We'll come back to that. The BC truck one. We've got John getting slapped by legal, and Sean across Canada will be the name of a pilot series of season around the world. Very, very good. I like that. We're moving into the world of TV. And here is a question from our friend Kyle. Happy Monday, Sean. If someone hits the brakes or swerves to avoid an animal on the road and causes a crash, who is at fault, the hitter or the hitty? Swerving to avoid an animal is still causing a collision, and driving instruction will always tell you to take the animal out rather than cause or risk human life. And it's sort of the mean potential, but human life is paramount. We have to protect them. We want to avoid collisions with others, and basically escalating, making matters worse. If you have to hit an animal, you have to hit an animal. And we've seen all sorts of collisions where people swerve to they swerve to avoid a dog or a raccoon or whatnot, end up in a ditch, a tree, and they end up with severe injuries, and if not the results being in death. So yeah, unfortunately, the animal generally has to eat it. It's bad, but yeah, you're still at fault if you cause a collision. Boom, boom, boom. What is this? Lulu says, I was the victim in a hit and run last year. What are the charges for that perp? So you have to assume that we caught them. So in the event that they were caught and charged, failed to remain is the basic. It starts there. Hopefully you're okay and that you weren't severely injured. My heart goes out to you. It's a terrible situation to be in. One of the things that people don't realize when they take off, they're taking off. They could be taking off for so many different reasons. They're wanted by police for criminal matters. They're impaired. They're not insured. Like there's tons of reasons why people make very bad decisions, and they leave the victims of these collisions just if they're pedestrians lying there. It's terrible. So there are responsibilities for a driver. They have to exchange information, but that's after making sure that the person is okay. You need to actually render assistance. That's a requirement. So they'd be charged for everything. The fail to render assistance, fail to remain, fail to surrender, exchange information, like everything under the sun. They'd be charged for all that if we were able to identify them, and I hope that they were caught. But I don't know anything about your particular case. Okay, I'm moving on. Again, sorry that you were in that situation. This is one of those reasons we're so big on traffic safety, why we're so big on trying to ensure that people understand their responsibilities, understand the laws, slow down and act on the road safely, because that collision, regardless of how it occurred because somebody did something. And then, of course, they ran because they had done something else wrong and they didn't want to take responsibility for their actions. But it's just, it's a no good. It's no good. All right, let's see here. We got a volley follow up from Chase.
So you just said that someone with alcohol in their system who's a novice driver, they get a license suspension. I just looked it on Shield Basic, and it says like BAC above zero, novice driver is the charge, and it just says it's a $110 fine. But like, is it actually a suspension too?
Yeah, so Chase, any violation of a condition would come with a suspension. I believe for a G class driver, it's going to be a 3 day. But if it was a novice driver who was not a G, they'd be looking at a 30-day suspension and for the first conviction. So it depends if you mean immediate roadside. I think it's a 3 day, and I say I think because I don't remember. And then there is upon conviction of the charge for driving in contravention of a condition. I believe it's another 30-day suspension. I don't know if it applies to a. I want to phone a friend. I want to phone a friend right now because this is bugging me. I've had too many of these today where I don't have the answer. And I believe he's in the building. So let me see. Hey, Aaron, we had a question for you about parking. Yeah, well, if I remembered it, I'd ask you. What was the question? Does anybody watching remember what the question was? It was about parking. I'm scrolling. Let's see here. What was it? Scrolling back quickly. Oh, come on. How far back was it? Okay, if anybody else remembers. Oh, rush hour enforcement. Thank you. That was JD who says rush hour enforcement, and I wrote it down too. See, Chase, you guys are the best. Is parking enforcement not doing rush hour enforcement? That was the question, because I'm assuming somebody didn't see sufficient coverage. Still enforcing rush hour, and is it on all streets, or rush hour basically is the downtown core? It's whatever's assigned as a rush hour route. Okay, so it's still being done. And would you know offhand what the fine is and what the consequences are? $150 and a possible tow if you don't get there. Tickety boo. Okay. And then going back to the other, boy, I'm in the distracto land here today. Let me do this. I'm gonna do Scott. Reaching out to Scott. Okay. Consequences, because he tweeted about this. If you're not following Scott Matthews, it's TPS Traffic DC on Twitter. Consequences for novice G. It's not considered novice. It's considered young. G under 22 with more than zero BAC. We're live. Nothing like putting pressure. We're live. I think that I should have him on as the guest sometime this week, because he's like he knows everything. I'm saying we're live and they want to know. Okay, here we go. I've texted. Let's see what he says. And in the meantime, I will come back here and catch up on on the stuff I missed. Oh, okay. Chase, who knows stuff, says there's actually a third-party authorization form from Service Ontario that would let you do stuff like license plate or registration activities on someone else's behalf. Good to know. I am not the pro of the Service Ontario, so this is fantastic that you know stuff and things that share with our other followers and viewers. So awesome. Thank you, Chase. And okay, I'd love to show this to you, but the question is, what were my thoughts on the driver who tried to go over the median to beat traffic but ended up hitting a car in front of him? So this is going all over the place. I was tagged in it a few times. If you search for us, you'll probably see this on TikTok. Essentially, I think it was two pickup trucks, and one tried to get into that turning lane, but there was nowhere to go. So they decided to put two wheels up on the side, but two wheels didn't go up on the side, only the one set, and it was just a mess. And they slid in the back The back end of the pickup truck basically, I think, slid down or at least made contact with the truck they were trying to have some patience. That's a good ticket. They're definitely responsible for that collision. Um, I don't think very highly of the choice the driver made. Such a preventable situation. Du- 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 du. Oh, some okay. Arg wants to know why things are going so wild and why there are so many murders in public transportation. I wasn't aware of murders on transportation, but certainly things have seems to have shifted recently, and we're seeing all sorts of violence take place. And I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately. All right, so Scott has come back to me and says, "Ticket, immediate 3-day suspension if convicted of ticket, then a further 30-day suspension." So I was right but and was I right and wrong? We've honed down the answer. I was going in the right direction, so I didn't realize that the 30-day suspension still applied to them. It does, and I wonder if that would be a 90-day for a second offense because that's what it would be for the novice. So he says same as novice, so that would be the case. 3-day suspension roadside, and through 30-day suspension for first, likely a 90 for second. Let me ask him: would it escalate? I really think I should just have him come upstairs, but we're so close to the end of the show. So we'll do this on another day. To 90 and third loss of license. I am typing and speaking as I type, and it is sad. Okay. There we go. Let's see what's going on here. TPS parking enforcement. Good. Okay, everyone. Curbed medians are definitely not curbed medians are not a suggestion. Yeah, people drive everywhere. They don't care. Just hop a curb. Yeah, that's not good. Not a good. M. Carroll. Oh, by the way, Emma, how's it going? Lots of questions coming in here. Is there a requirement to stop for emergency vehicles or buses with solid median separating? So that's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking it. And that is who's asking it? Is it Juarez? Um, the answer is that if you are on an undivided highway, everyone has to stop. If you're divided by median or grassy knoll, then you only have to pull over for the emergency vehicles coming up behind you. They won't be coming. You don't have to stop for the vehicles on the other side of the median. That is a common question we get, and it's also school buses. You don't have to stop for a school bus if there's a median dividing the two sides of the highway. Why is Ontario the only place on earth that allows passing on double yellow solid lines? There's no law specifically preventing it. Until there isn't. But you are responsible for everything that happens. So if it's unsafe and they cause a collision, it's on them. And the truth is that regardless of there being a law that would give you a ticket for crossing the line, the person who's going to do it's going to do it anyway. I guess they just avoid the line charge and just go for the big one that caused a collision. But I don't know why it's not a deal. What's the lowest you can put your car? That question is, well, actually, I'm told it's 1.5 inches from stock, but we don't know what stock is. So we're going to be looking for contact with frame, contact with body, or, uh, you know, when I say contact, I mean tire and frame, tire and body. We want to make sure that the suspension is functional and that it doesn't bottom out, that nothing is touching the ground, because that would be unsafe. But we're told 1.5 inches from base. But there's other things to think about. Never mind all that other jazz that we're looking for. There is a minimum distance from the ground to the center of your headlights. There's also a maximum distance. So if you made a monster truck, you're violating rules just by being too tall. And my understanding is it's a 3-inch maximum lift kit you can put on a vehicle. So there you go. Is it weird or okay to come up and say hi if I see you in public off duty? It is not weird. It is totally okay. I was at Costco on the weekend, and a lovely viewer came up and saw me with my family shopping and said, "This isn't weird or nothing, but I'm the one who asked about the G1 questions. So I thank you for coming up and saying hello. It was lovely meeting you. I see people all the time. People are constantly coming up and saying hello to me, so it's welcome. I appreciate the hesitation and the slow approach because I'm with my family and alarm bells going. I almost had to arrest somebody. I say almost had to arrest somebody. There was something going down at that Costco. There was somebody running and other people yelling, and it was all resolved. But that was a questionable moment at Costco. Anyway, let's see here. Moving on. How can a traffic light detect incoming waiting vehicles and light change? So, how do traffic lights work? This is the science of magnetic fields. They have buried sensors essentially, and I can't think of the terminology for it, but induction loops. Are they induction? I think they're induction loops. And essentially, when a vehicle sits idling above that loop beneath the ground, it triggers a response, notifying the traffic signal system that it's there, and then it starts the process. Because you have some signals that don't turn on unless a vehicle's there, or don't cycle unless someone's there. Okay. What's going on here? When you're crossing University Avenue, the light turns red. You're in the middle. Do you stop in the middle? That's a great question. Black Lion asks. The answer is that you're responsible to clear the intersection. You don't stop in the middle. You actually have to exit the intersection, because you're going to cause all sorts of mess if you stay there, and you can be charged. Not okay. Inductive loops. Did I call them induction loops? I think I called them induction. So they're inductive loops or overhead LiDAR in some places. Kayla knows lots of stuff and things regarding these things. So thank you for sharing your knowledge. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, now that you've mastered the playing volley audio for the show, is there any way in the near future for video questions to get played? I dare you. Send me a video message. I'll play it right now. Yeah, I know how to do it. It would be sharing the screen. The audio would work, so I would just have to share the screen, just like I did um, when I shared that, because I can totally do that. So yes, okay. And what is this? Stephen Bell is asking a follow up. I'm only seeing part of it. Stephen says, "Sorry for bringing, but I never had a criminal record. So I don't understand the question. Do I have anything else here? No, I don't. I don't see the beginning of your question. All right. Oh, apparently IR video cameras coming soon for intersections. That's cool. Okay, Richard and LiDAR becomes RIDAR. Richard says that Thunder Bay even has some overhead LiDAR lights in its municipal roads. Very cool. The technology is apparently continuing to develop. They didn't just stop, which is awesome. So many things are just totally old school. I was once at an intersection. I had to take control over it. And we have keys for doing that. So I go in there and I'm cycling the lights, and then I was always warned by the old school guys, don't press the buttons too fast, because if you press the buttons too fast, nothing will work. It will just shut down. So what happened? I pressed the buttons too fast, and I had to wait like 3 hours for maintaining the manual, me waving my arms, controlling traffic, while they sent a crew to like do a hard reboot of the system. I don't know what happened. All I know, I was there forever, and I never want to open another one of those traffic boxes again. That was not fun, not at all. What is this? Oh, classic car has no insurance. Can I physically push the car down the road to another storage? Interesting. It's not operating on the road. I don't know. I would not suggest it. Forget about the legality of operating a motor vehicle on the road. What happens if something happens to the car? It's not going to be covered because you're still on the road and it gets hit and damaged, whatever. I don't think you should do that. But I don't know if, because you're not operating, you're not driving it. I would suggest paying for a tow. It's a couple $100 and you reduce the risk of anything bad happening. Oh, I might be able to get you to a traffic systems conference as a special guest. I would go to a traffic systems conference. I'm going to something very soon. Is it this week? The it's not a special guest ticket, but we paid for me to go. But I'm going to something for the Traffic Council, Ontario Traffic Council. Is that what we're talking about? Let me know. What is this? Kayla says, I remember those police embarrassment switches. Click too fast, the signal goes into flash. Yes, absolutely. I still have nightmares. Okay. My work has red and blue flashing lights responding to site emergencies. Is that legal? What is the law around red and blues? Justin, on private property, it's not illegal. On public property, it is illegal. If you're not police, fire, or ambulance, you can't have red and blue. In fact, you should be using amber, period, in my opinion. But on private property, red and blue would not be prohibited. but that vehicle could not go on the road. Oh, if you speed and the camera box takes a photo, does it take a pic of your car, plate, or something else? Billy Wang wants to know. So if you're talking about the automated enforcement uh, systems, both red light camera and speed camera, they take a picture of the area and they have a zoom in ability to some degree of the plate, but they do identify the plate, and that is how they issue the ticket, is based on that. So yeah, they do that, and it works. So why am I what am I saying? Oh, and that's why it doesn't affect your driver's license. It's only to the registered owner of the vehicle, and it's there's no points involved. ITS Canada. Okay. Okay, Akela, send me an email. I gotta find out if I can get a ticket, because that's important stuff to know. Ah, okay, cool. Nowadays, traffic and street lighting technicians get Thunder Bay traffic restored with that. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'm just reading this back thing here. Adam says, again, will this account get suspended like the OPP account? Um, I I don't think we're at risk of that because we're not using the app. The app is the thing in question, but we don't know. We haven't received any direction yet. Okay, we're 11 o'clock, and that means that the show is over at least for another day. We're back here tomorrow at 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, doing what we do, which is answering traffic and police questions. I think today went pretty well. Now, Chase didn't send me a message, did he? Did Chase send me a video? I don't think he did. I don't see it, so I don't have to worry about. I'll let you prepare for next time. Um, let's see what's David. David Helms tells is suggesting to buy a roadside emergency insurance. Um, that it's worth it. I concur. I've been using it for a long time. I think this is a suggestion for the folks that for the person who has a classic car and wants to move it down the street. I think that's I think that's pretty good advice. I used to use that for my motorcycle when it was off the road. Somebody's claiming that I'm avoiding their question. I gotta let you know, user 811975300492. I'm not ignoring your question. I'm not reading the chat for the most part. I have the assistance of a producer, someone who's reading the chat and bringing up actual questions that are related to what we're talking about. And if it goes on screen, then I read them, and if it doesn't go on screen, I don't. But I'm not in the chat. I just looked over. I noticed your suggestion that I was ignoring you, and I'm not. I'm not actually reading you at all. Oh, wait, maybe is this you? I think it is. Is it the law to use your blinkers in Ontario? And by blinkers, I think you mean signals. And the answer to you is yes. It is a lawful requirement to use to signal the intention to move, change lanes, signaling your intent. Yeah, you have to do that. If you don't, it's a $110 ticket. And it is read that if it could affect the movement of another vehicle, so that would suggest that if you didn't or couldn't affect the movement of another vehicle, it may not be required. I would strongly suggest that you always, 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 always signal, even if you're the only person on the road. You know why? Because if you get a ticket for it, it means you weren't the only person. So often we do things, or people do things that because they think they're alone. You're probably not alone. Okay. What is this? Akela's taking off because he's got stuff and things to do. John getting slapped by legal says, today did go well. We created a name for your travel show, answered a bunch of questions. I call that a success. Yes, he's got us ready for our travel show. And I'm going to be traveling. I got a bunch of travel that I'm doing this year. Maybe I need to talk to local cops about traffic while I'm out and about. Yeah, I'm looking forward to traveling. Vacation will be good. And have a great day, everybody, from Richard. And what is this last question for the classic car guy? Call your insurance company. Tell them, oh, Jeff, this is good. This is good advice from Jeff. For the classic car guy, call your insurance company and tell them what you want to do. They'll probably help you out. And yes, I have heard of people getting insurance temporarily, because you probably have fire and theft, but if you need to move it down the street, there is a potential for that. Also, if it's truly a classic, if it's over 30 years old, you could probably get full insurance on it for the purposes of classic car insurance, which is generally considered for like going for ice creams and car shows, which allows you to operate on the road for like a couple $100 a year. So there are policies that might be able to cover you appropriately for the kind of things you want to do. Anyway, it really is that time. Have a fantastic day. I'll put this music on until I get the other music on because I want to cue up the traffic song because it's awesome. And awesome is what we do here. We aim for awesome every day. Doesn't always get there, but we do aim for it. And 10 o'clock tomorrow, 10 to 11. Maybe we'll be able to get Scott to come in. We can talk more about impaired driving. I really like that topic. I think it's an awesome topic. Okay. And we got the traffic song coming in. Here we go. Is it opening? It's queuing it up. I think it's like almost perfect timing. Is it really taking that long to load that file? I double clicked it. It's thinking about it. Holy moly. Really? All right. We're going to forego the traffic song, which I double clicked. It's going to happen. It happened on its own. Really slow computer. All right. Have a fantastic day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Be safe. Have fun.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
All right. I saw some other stuff come in, but we're not going to start it up again. My wife says, have a great day. So we'll just leave it at that. And for Jake here on Instagram, stand by.